So welcome, thanks for coming. It's an interesting topic that we're talking about. It's not actually a thing. It's really all we're saying is, this is everything. And that's the beginning and end of it. There is nothing to say about it. There's no story that makes this happen. There isn't anything that this is coming out of or this is becoming. It's already all of it. This, like what's happening, it's already all of it. It's done. It's a done deal. It's complete and fulfilled as itself. Not as a feeling, but as itself. And I guess another part of what we're talking about is that isn't about you. There isn't a you that will ever recognize what's just been said. There's an experience of me, or I am, which might hear what's being said and go, I want to know that, or that sounds good, or I don't understand that. I need to become something for that to be real for me. And that is a dream. I mean an illusion. It's an illusion, like it's not happening. So if that does seem to be happening, that will say something needs to happen for that to stop happening. That's the illusion. It never stops happening. That experience that I am, that experience that this is happening to me, never stops happening. What might happen is the revelation it never happened. That this is only complete already. And really that's all there is, that's all I've got to say.
In this perspective, no relationship?
No.
And no connection?
No. How could you be connected with what's not separate?
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
If it is happening after 5 minutes also, finished. I just curious. Okay, everything is just happening. It's very clear.
Yeah.
But and no judgment.
Well, there's judgment.
There is.
Yeah, but there's two sorts of kinds of judgment. So there's a judgment of whether food tastes good or not.
Okay.
And then there's the personal judgment, which comes from the experience that the appearance has meaning and purpose, which is my story about how I'm going to find what I think is missing. So in that story, you'll find like spiritual people who say that eating brown rice is really good. And if you don't eat brown rice, then you're not as good as me. Or that meditation is really good. And so if you don't meditate, you're not as good as me. Or my guru is better than your guru. And so if you go to the wrong guru, you're not as good as me. That personal judgment, that collapses. But there's still good food and not so good food.
And how is that possible? Somebody who is free has a partner who doesn't care this kind of things, for example.
Yeah.
How okay, nobody handles this, of course, because you are not there to handle the difference or something.
Yeah.
But the person has this purpose to living it together, for example, the same
Yeah.
interesting or
Yeah.
behavior or the same mind level or something. This is the exception or something.
Yeah.
And here is how is it happening? I know nothing happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how is someone free? How?
It seems like it would be very challenging for the person who still experiences themselves as an individual.
Yeah.
To be with someone who there's no individual. Because the individual is in relationship. It's always in relationship, and it's always compromising and making deals with others in relationship.
I never done this, so I don't know this.
Yeah. Yeah, of course not. Yeah. And when there's no one left, there's no need to make deals anymore. And so there might be, if one of the two, there's still someone there, they'll be trying to make deals with somebody who's not going to make deals. And that can be very challenging.
Some kind of gain from one part.
Yeah, yeah.
So but it is difficult to who is person.
Yeah, probably.
But who is free is not difficult, nothing happening, and that's all, because nobody there.
Well, there's no relationship.
Okay.
Yeah. But there isn't any relationship already.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Just headache, actually. I asked, here is a problem, but nobody has headache. Just headache.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what we're talking about is actually really simple. It's so simple that it's too simple to be understood. It's immediate. What we're saying is that all there is immediacy. So this is everything. And being everything, that means that it has no limits, restriction. It's whatever arises, and that could be anything. And in that sense, this is everything, meaning it has no need to be what it is. So there's having no need, there's no way to work it out. There's no way actually to make sense of it. And within this appearance that has no need and no sense, there arises an experience of separation. The experience I am, or me, or I am real, I am here. That experience brings with it the experience of meaning and purpose. The experience that the appearance is going somewhere, that it has an intention, that this isn't it, and it could be found somewhere else. And that's my job, to go find what it is through my free will and choice. That arises in this. And the suggestion is that is illusory. Like illusory. To the point that it's actually not happening. It happens within the dream of itself, that this has meaning and purpose, but the end of that dream doesn't leave anybody left that knows it was a dream. There's just, the dream ends and nobody wakes up. That's pretty much all we're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about free will?
There isn't any.
Because there is like no self, no individual?
Well, there's no, what would you call it, agent. Agency is an illusion. There is no agency. I mean, if you look at science, will tell you it's the same thing. Although some scientists will try to tell you there's limited free will, which seems ridiculous, really. Because if you're free, then you're free. If you're not free, if you're limited free, then... And limited free, I would go with that. The experience of an individual is like being in a jail. and there seems to be the free will to organize the jail cell so that you can get to the toilet without falling over the chair. But there's no free will to come out of the jail cell, it being completely illusory.
But do you think it's still like worth to?
No.
Okay.
No, this has no value. But because there's no free will, no one could choose. So if there's still the experience that it's worth it, then there will be an effort to try to make it happen. But that effort only confirms that there's an experience of separation.
Yeah, I'm just really struggling of how to, like...
There isn't a how-to. But that's the whole point. There isn't a how-to. The whole demand of a how-to comes from an illusory experience that there's separation that could be overcome. Or that there's a dissatisfaction that's intrinsic to the appearance that requires me to do something about it. That isn't the case.
Everything is unconditional love.
Yeah, already.
Already.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about it?
No. No.
It means there is only exception, no judgment.
Mm-mm.
No.
No, we've already said there's judgment. There's just.
Yeah, but not this kind of criticizing.
But that seems to appear in this, doesn't it?
No other.
Personal judgment seems to appear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unconditional love also appears as personal judgment.
Okay. So everything just coming up and nothing happening.
Yeah.
And unconditional love means?
Nothing.
Okay.
It means nothing. That's the problem. It means nothing.
Okay. Because I noticed if someone hates me and I don't hate back, I love the same way, so I don't care so much.
Yeah.
Nobody here.
But that's not better than hating them. See, that's the person that says it's better not to hate.
I don't find anything behind this hating or something. So nobody here don't care about this, but they love the same. But so no differentiate. I love this or that or just whole. I don't know how to say. It is the right thing or.
It doesn't sound like what's being said here, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong, right?
There's no right or wrong now. Well, how could there be?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right for what? Right or wrong only makes sense if this has an intention to it. If it actually needs to become something. Then if you're fulfilling that, then that would be right, and if you're not, then it's wrong. But this already being complete, there's no need, there's no space or place for right and wrong.
Could you elaborate on what does it mean that there is
No
no need?
need, that this appearance, this isn't going anywhere. It's not becoming, it doesn't need to become. The experience of separation is that this is unsatisfactory, and so it needs to become something better. Which, for the individual, is the experience that something needs to happen. For this to be what's really wanted, something needs to happen. That's the need. And on top of that basic experience, it builds up an entire story around what that need is, and that my needs are more important than somebody else's needs, and all those sorts of things.
So how do we live without needs?
Well, you never have lived.
Okay.
So that question only comes from the experience that there's a real past, where there was a real person who made real choices with their free will to make this, and then the expectation that that same experience would lead into the future. There isn't a past. That is the thought of the past, or a memory of the past. There's no one in there to choose.
If it's no choice, then there's no one choosing a partner. This also happens.
Totally.
You said there is not even becoming.
This isn't becoming.
Okay, and when you say unconditional love, and you say that you will not say more about that, somehow it seems it must be something so impersonal. It's not the love that relates to.
Right.
That's in duality. Again, a concept is forming that it might be some kind of an impersonal force that is unfolding, but even that is not.
It's too much. Yeah. This can't say anything about it. Not because there's holding back, but because there's nothing to be said. Unconditional love isn't a concept to be understood. You're differentiating between the person and unconditional love, but the person is also unconditional love, being the experience of a person. Unconditional love is the worst thing you could think of, and the best thing you can think of, and everything in between. That's unconditional love. So there's no way to talk about it really, because it is just what seems to be. And it's not a force outside of it. That's unconditional love handing, or walling, or flooring, or wording, or writing.
When there's an experience of pain or preferences, it's also just...
That's all there is unconditional love. You could call it unconditional freedom. That's all there is. That's why searching for it is hopeless. And that's why the experience of separation is illusory. Because the experience of separation is that something needs to happen for this to be unconditionally free. But the experience of separation is unconditional freedom experiencing separation. There's nothing right or wrong with it. This isn't being shared with the intention of getting rid of separation or the experience of it. Because it's already seen as wholeness, having the experience of separation. There's no right or wrong way.
Why do we use these words of unconditional love?
Yeah.
Any or?
Did I study?
No, could we use any other words?
You could. If you use street, all there is street. You're saying the same thing, but it doesn't seem to be as clear as saying unconditional love. Because there's something about the, not personal acceptance, but the acceptance of this in and of itself because it is. That saying all there is street doesn't seem to capture as well as unconditional love.
But then to say unconditional alone is love itself. So unconditional love, if I would say love, because unconditional is the name of freedom, love, and everything.
Yeah. But unconditional love has absolutely nothing to do with the personal experience of love. Yeah.
And then also feelings. Feeling is not my feelings, because it doesn't matter that what I feel is mine or for the others. It's just a feeling in the space.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but not as an experience.
What do you mean?
It doesn't mean that I'm here and I don't care.
Yes, it's not.
It's not that.
Yeah.
If there's hate arising, that has a certain quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one here that says, I don't care that I hate. There's just hate.
We can say the judgment, also the hate, also this.
Totally.
Everything is what coming up is not my, of course, because I'm not here, but just this.
Yes.
And that's why the person doesn't want to confront with these things. That's why we go to the future to looking for something, more happiness, more for.
Yeah. And it's not that it doesn't want to, it's that it's nothing to it.
Yeah, of course.
It already knows this.
So,
And in that knowing, it is then necessarily needing the next thing. In knowing this, this is no longer alive. This is concrete.
okay. The judgment wasn't.
And so then I can go and look for aliveness, which this is already, but is lost because I know it. Seems to be lost. It's not. Because the experience of knowing is aliveness as well.
So we don't know anything.
That's all that's left. That's all there is unknowing.
Okay, yesterday you mentioned 1,000 times.
This is unknowing.
So the person wants to know? Or
No, it does.
Okay.
I am is the experience of knowing I am. And when I know here, I know everything. Everything then becomes a part of my I knowness, a part of solidity, a part of fixedness, solid. And the aliveness, the unknowing, seems to be lost.
Yeah, anybody know everything.
Yeah. Well, even I am will actually I understand. So this is unknowable. So I know this is unknowable. And that's the same thing as I know. But
why do anything then?
But again, you're back to that you've had a choice. And that means you know what it's like to sit on a chair. And if you know what it's like to sit on a chair, there's a need to find the next moment, the next happening. Because what's longed for is sitting on a chair. That's what's longed for. That's what's truly wanted, is to sit on a chair.
You mean what is happening in the moment?
No, there's no moment, but what is happening.
Okay.
That's truly what's longed for.
Okay.
The end of the need to know. Knowing is really a tension in the body, a holding. Knowing. That holding is actually a pushing away. Everything then moves away. This is solid, the aliveness moves away, escaping the experience of knowing. And what's longed for is the end of this, so that the aliveness can be as it is. And the question for the individual is, how do I do that? Yeah. The pushing away. Yeah.
Give me an instruction.
Give me an instruction. Yeah.
Instruction.
Yeah, you tell me how to make this more this, and I'll tell you what to do.
Also, the question is what to do with the longing. That also.
Oh, absolutely. The whole question. As soon as there's an individual, there's a what do I do about it? What do I do about this? How do I become? What's the right thing to do? There's all sorts of, it's like a straitjacket of trying to be good enough, right, correct. It permeates the entire experience of how do I get it right? How do I get it right? And the problem is you can't get it wrong. That's the problem.
If there's no choice, it's no responsibility.
Totally. Yay!
What does it mean?
With no responsibility, no one chooses. No one's responsible.
Everything just happening.
Yeah.
Only apparently.
And like satisfaction or acceptance?
Well, acceptance for the individual is a movement, a need. Sounds better. But this doesn't need to be accepted. It's unlimited. This is already completely unlimited. Acceptance would be something within it happening. There's no way to accept what's already is.
Why?
Because that would be separation. That would be only a portion of what is. That would be me and what is.
If emptiness takes shape, then there's already condition.
This is emptiness.
Yes, but shapeless emptiness,
Well,
taking shape.
no, but it doesn't take shape. It doesn't actually happen. There isn't emptiness that becomes this.
Expressing.
There's no expression.
No.
This is uncreated. It's not, there's no energy or force behind this. This is the whole of it.
So the body is not the expression of emptiness and or object?
No, it is emptiness. It is emptiness. The floor is emptiness flooring. And empty only points to the emptiness or the absence of me. See, I am the solidity or the knowing of everything, longing for or really wanting the emptiness of everything. But the emptiness is the emptiness of me, the absence of me.
The absence from separation. Right?
Yeah, I am separation. That's the experience. I'm here, you're there. And what's longed for is there to be no separation. No here, no there.
But there is already no separation.
Exactly. But that's only a concept if the experience of separation is happening. Now, it's obvious here that there is no separation. There are no people. There are no individuals. There's simply what's arising. But when there's the experience of separation, then that's what's happening. And so the fact that there is no separation is just a concept.
And what is appearing then is the whole picture, no? What?
I don't know what you mean by picture.
What is appearing?
Yeah, what is appearing?
It's one picture.
Yeah. It's not one picture.
Is one.
This, well, it's not one, it's not separate. It doesn't come together because it never was apart. It doesn't come together to one because it's already not two.
And there is no one who's seeing the picture.
There's no one seeing the picture, yeah. Well, unless there is. Unless there is, and then that'll be the experience of separation, yeah.
And how do you know that?
I don't. The difficulty is that it sounds like this is coming from a knowing. Because the individual knows. And so it assumes that this must be coming from the same place.
So that's why because I am always coming back to this question recently, listening to you, that how do you know that, how do you know that? So it's coming from, actually from the person, that the person is knowing.
Yeah.
So the only question I can say that how do you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the individual wants to know itself, actually. So how do you know is really how do I know? How can I know what you know? Is really what the question is, right? Yeah. But this as unknowing, see, knowing is a fixed point, and it experiences this appearance as fixed and real and knowable. And what's being suggested is that it's not. So that's not knowing, it's the revelation that nothing is known, that this isn't fixed. That's not a knowing. Nothing is held about it. It's just obviously aliveness. It's obviously free. It's obviously pastless, timeless, appearing. Obviously. But that doesn't come from a position. That comes from no position. That comes from no thing. So the individual expects a solution, an answer. This doesn't have any answers. The questioner died, revealing the questions are unnecessary. They come from an experience which is illusory.
So why talk?
I don't. I'm not here. There's no one here. No one says this. No one says that either. Yeah. Yeah. Why talk comes out of the experience that this is known, that there's a reason for this. Because only if there's a reason for this could there be a question of what's the reason for that. Right? If this is unknowing, then what's the reason for anything?
But still, for some reason, these questions arise. These verbs
The question arises because there's an experience that what is real. That there's something in there. Huh?
It's not real.
No. There's nothing in there. This entire appearance is actually no thing appearing. Already. So it won't become no thing. You'll never find no thing. That might recognize that there was never a you, and that will make apparent or obvious that this is no thing.
But that's not knowing.
Exactly.
So what is exist?
What's that?
What is exist?
What exists? Nothing. Exist is a funny word. Exist, if you look at it in the dictionary, it says stick out. So if we're talking about what sticks out, nothing sticks out. Nothing exists. But if you want to talk about what appears, then anything, everything. This is everything. This is anything.
So there is no judgment that in what's appearing.
There is no judgment?
I'm still struggling with when is judgment, when is no judgment?
Judgment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, bad sushi is bad sushi. I mean, what do you want?
Okay. So if bad sushi appears?
Yeah, then that's what's happening, bad sushi.
Okay.
And this will probably eat it anyway.
Okay, so there is judgment there, but there is no judgment of when.
The judgment that falls away, so the individual has a story. Its story is how it's going to find happiness. Yeah, that's its story. And it has a lot of beliefs about what is going to lead to happiness and what won't lead to happiness. And so it judges on that experience what it feels is going to lead to happiness. And obviously Muslims think one thing and Christians think another and spiritual people think another and all of that. So these are all the stories of personal judgment about what's going to lead to happiness. The suggestion here, it's hopeless. You will never find happiness. Yeah. So that whole personal judgment has no relevance anymore. When there's no one left trying to find happiness, that personal judgment about how to find happiness is no longer relevant.
I mean, now I get why you say no one really wants to know this.
No. No. It's so useless. It's so useless. Did I say that in the conversation with Sam? Yeah. Yeah.
So judgment can happen.
Anything can happen.
Being rude.
Anything can happen.
Anything.
Obviously.
So it doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm not sure what you mean by that. It's not. There's not a position.
Yeah.
There's not a position
Yeah, of course.
of it doesn't matter.
Yeah, nobody there who matters.
But nothing matters because there's no intention behind it. This isn't becoming anything.
Yeah, intention. Okay, no intention.
Yeah. The intrinsic need that I am feels about this needing to be, something needing to happen, is an illusion. Yeah.
So does Jim ever feel conflict or pain?
Probably. Jim doesn't, but conflict and pain and all sorts of things seem to arise.
So, and in that case, there is no intention to resolve the conflict?
Maybe. We're talking about the intention of the whole. But there's probably a movement to, if somebody tries to cut off my leg, there'd probably be kicking them in the face, I guess. Getting out of the sun, if it's hot. Eating if there's hunger. There's nothing, we're not talking about becoming somehow special or extraordinary.
Somehow, just I guess wanting to understand the intention, but there's no intention yet, so it's okay. It's pointless to somehow ask, but yet these questions still come up because of conditioning, because of somehow thinking and feeling this way all these years. So if there is an intention behind all these movements, or intention to change the movements.
But there isn't. Yeah. But the experience is there is. The experience is something needs to happen. Intention only has a reality within the story of separation. The individual lives in a world of intention. Something needs to happen.
So what's up with the baby?
What's up with the baby?
Yeah. Maybe like still like less than half a year old.
Yeah.
There's no separation between
I can't remember. Do you remember? No. So we can talk about it like a scientist. And they say that until this experience of separation, that there's the oceanic experience, which is non-separate. And then arises this experience of separation, which might have something to do with the experience of permanence, which arises in the baby when the brain develops at about 18 months, 2 years.
What does that mean?
Permanent. So when the baby is very young, before whenever it happens, I think it's between 18 months and 2 years, if it's playing with a ball and it rolls underneath the couch, it doesn't exist anymore. It's only after a certain amount of development in the brain that it can extrapolate the idea that a ball rolls under the couch and it still exists. It's just not within it doesn't see it.
But this concept of the I
Yeah.
is only like it is created because of the outside. No. It arises out of a tension in the body. There's a tension in the body, and out of that comes the experience of separation. The experience of I am, or me. So there's a tension in the body, and when the me arises, it actually arises in everything. So everything becomes then known as me or not me. But it's not because the dolls are talking to you.
No, and it doesn't have anything to do with words or feelings or any of those things. Words, I understand people say words are dualistic, and so that's the problem. That's not the problem. There isn't actually a problem. But the experience of separation is what the individual is trying to overcome, and it has nothing to do with words. It has everything to do with the tension in the body and the subsequent experience of me being in the body.
So do you think that if someone wouldn't grow up in society, like maybe somewhere separate, this separation, this tension would still arise?
I don't know. I imagine it would, because I don't think it has anything to do with society. It doesn't seem to be a reaction to that at all. Or at least when it fell away, it was seen how it fell away, or how it built up, and it had nothing to do with an external reality. It had everything to do with it happening in here.
This tension in the body is the I know.
Is
the I know.
Actually, it's not. I know comes out of it. So the tension in the body is the same as the chair or the wall. It's apparent. It seems to be. The I am is completely illusory, meaning it doesn't actually fall away. The tension can fall away, but the I am never falls away. The I am is just revealed to have never been.
What is the I am that?
What is I am that? You'd have to ask him. I don't know what he was talking about. He might have been saying the same thing that Jesus was saying, is I am the way, the life, and the truth. He might have been saying that, which might mean this is the way, the life, and the truth. No, it's Nisargadatta is I am that. Yeah. Well, that's the book I know. I am that, from Nisargadatta.
Yeah, I read it, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Because I read 2000.
Yeah. You do that, don't you? Oh God,
I work apparently as a kinesiologist and translating trainer. I was the best actually. And when I almost get in the wheelchair, and I was lying 3 years at home, I decided I will I did transbreeding almost every day, and it was horror actually. And I wanted to find every program that I have.
Yeah.
And I did it. It was 3 hours every day, and shouting and crying, and my neighbors wanted to kill me, and and actually it was bringing a very big happiness, but not all the time, because the mind came back. Only 2 minutes was enough to become total crazy. So I was very happy. I always joking everything everybody on the street, and everybody knew me, how happy she is, but 2 minutes was horror thing. And I realized I have to finish this job. Actually, I was very cheap, and even that cheap things nobody wanted to pay me, but they eating everything in my room, because you are vegan, how delicious this, you can eat how much you want and not becoming fat, and and I almost getting in a wheelchair because I was fed, everybody using me and suck my blood or something. It was a person idea. So after finishing these 3 years transbreeding, I felt so free, but this two minutes was for all. So I saw clearly this is not solve any problem, putting out the problems and nothing, so without realizing nobody is here, it's just worth shit,
And realizing nobody's here is also worth shit.
Yeah, of course.
When you say that this has no intention, I keep remembering that there is one of my dance teachers used to use this expression that no tension, no intention. And I keep thinking recently that he must know something.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Same thing that's being said here.
But actually in this kind of movement meditation, it's through movement or through, how to say, like going into the body, and so it's like a mind state. It's kind of a mind state that in this mind state the movement just flows. It just happens.
Yeah.
But then I think that if I can change into that mind state, then it's also something not permanent. It's like coming and going. Again.
A state always comes and goes. Yeah, states always come and go.
Because the thought comes that, okay, so somehow I can do that. And I can do that for a while.
Exactly. That's the whole problem, isn't it?
But sorry, so this non-dual state, do you call it state?
No.
Recognition?
A what?
Recognition?
Well, actually, nobody recognizes non-duality. what's recognized is that there's not two. So what we can talk about is what's not. What we can't talk about is what is. So we can say there's no intention, but we can't say what this is without intention. We can say there's not two, but we can't say what that is. So it's what there's not two. We can say there's no individual, but we can't say what that is if there isn't any one.
And what about like meditating or taking psychedelics and then having this egolessness, so really the feeling that there is no separation?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a feeling.
But is it, do you say that it can be permanent?
It isn't permanent. This isn't permanent.
Why?
Well, it's not even happening. It only seems to be. Permanent would mean real time, right? There's real time. The experience of me is that there's real time and real space. And that means there are real things. And that's my problem. The experience of separation is the problem, that there are real things.
So there are no real things?
No.
You cannot say what is?
No. There are no real things, there's no real space, and there's no real time.
There is no hope.
But there's no need for hope. The individual is hopeless because it's looking for something that it can't find. That's hopeless. Yeah.
Permanency, because how some falls, then after, like, it's permanent.
Yeah, yeah. That's good, huh? Yeah. Yeah. I get something out of it.
But I don't believe.
No. Why would you? It doesn't matter. Believing or not believing is the same thing.
Because the pointing that I've been received is that everything changes, nothing is permanent. But the one who sees that
Totally.
seems to be permanent.
Oh, doesn't that sound lovely?
All of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Transient.
That's right. I am the awareness of everything that's transient, and the awareness never changes.
Not always, you know. I think not always.
No, no. It's very popular. Yeah.
You're busting that too.
No, no. No, it's just part of the illusion. This isn't busting it. It's just part of the illusion.
Busting is kind of.
Yeah, no, this destroys everything. This is the Kali of messages.
So we said there is no I am.
No.
But then we said I am the awareness.
That's the dream.
Dream.
Yeah. That's awareness or consciousness only arise and are the basic experience of separation. That's separation.
Yeah.
Awareness is separation.
Okay.
Consciousness is separation. It's exceptionally simple and unbelievable. It's a tension in the body that has the experience that things are away, apart.
It's so funny that many of the teachers actually suggest or tries to strengthen awareness and consciousness.
But he is no teacher, so.
No. Right. No teaching. No teacher, no teaching. Yeah.
So, because this is higher. So they want to leave us. I show you.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are being manipulative in that way.
No. Maybe.
I think what's happening is they have. That's the experience that's being had, and not all of them, but I think most of them share out of that experience.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So being aware of all the things that are transient.
Yeah.
It's still a dream, just maybe seems a more sophisticated dream.
Yeah.
now and within the dream
Yeah.
somehow a little bit.
Yeah. At least I'm still in control, right?
Yeah.
Because I know what's happening. I'm separate. For the I am, the biggest problems are thoughts and feelings. And so it feels like if it can separate from those and just watch them, that's a better place. I'm no longer affected by thoughts and feelings. Yeah. And I'm not saying there aren't states that you can find and hold on to. I don't know how long, but forever. I don't have any, as long as the body is. But it's still a state. It's still part of the dream of separation. It's still a knowing.
But actually this kind of teachers, fucking gurus actually, I know I had thousands.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I love sex. Love sex.
Oh right, sex. We're back to that again.
So actually this is, they speak to the person. So it's very easy to recognize because they think they are a person. I am a teacher.
Well, the person is an experience. It's not a thought.
Yeah. So more sophisticated ego. Actually, ego doesn't exist, but yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say that the person is what did you say?
It's not a thought. It's an experience. Yeah. It's the experience of knowing you're there. That's not a thought, knowing you're sitting on a chair, you're sitting there. It's an experience of knowing.
Okay.
Even without thoughts, the experience of knowing or being conscious or aware is still happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then somehow an experience is a more, it's like a deeper impression.
Fundamental. Yeah,
impression.
yeah. I don't know about impression, but it's fundamental, yeah. It's not superficial like a thought. If it were just a thought, just stop thinking, you'd be done with it.
So we can say the Vedic scriptures are absolute, but only for the person, because they telling the truth to the person.
There is no truth.
Yeah, okay.
And there is no person.
It's absolute, actually, but the Vedic scriptures starting with this: here is no doer and no controller.
And then they tell you how to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but no doer, no control.
And then they tell you what to do about that.
Yeah. But you have to do.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love that. There's no one, but this is what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I show you.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
It's funny being more aware.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the people believe this.
It's not believing.
No.
What happens is teachings, the experience of the individual is something needs to happen
Yeah.
for this to be, or to find, what's truly wanted. Something needs to happen. And a teacher says, that's right. You're right. Something needs to happen. And the individual's experience is, I have to do it. And the teacher says, you're right. There's something that you need to do. And the experience of the individual is, it has something to do with knowing. And the teacher says, you're right. I know and you don't, and I'll show you. So for the individual, a teacher is exactly what's wanted. It makes total sense. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I got the teaching, you have to be more humble, more this, more sheep, and then after, oh my God, how many things I have to be, how can I solve it, I don't even have time to translate so much.
But it's happening also, no? So it's no...
Also unconditional love.
So, yeah, of course, it doesn't matter.
There is no one teaching, but teaching seems to happen, yeah.
But the mind, my mind, my mind works the same way with your thought.
Oh, of course. Not necessarily, though. The mind might, but it could be that something else is going on. What I refined in the reports that I get from people is that it's unexpected. So what their mind was telling them and what they thought they knew about everything doesn't correlate with what seems to happen when this is heard. It's just unexpected. There's a sort of an unraveling of the contracted energy, but not one that anyone does. And it seems like there's a lot of, sometimes, I don't know if confusion's the right word, but unease, because it's just not recognized. Something is lost or something is loosening, but there's no understanding of what that is.
Would you name it as the tension of the body?
Tension, yeah.
And
Tension.
that is loosening.
That loosens, yeah. It can do, yeah. Or it can contract even more. Hearing this can be confrontational and can contract and run away or scream at me or something.
Yeah. Because we still need, that safety. Or that
The experience. Yeah, this confronts the need of the individual. It's a bit like a brick wall.
Even sickness can happen.
Sickness?
It can happen.
Yeah.
Because my friends are becoming sick now. To come here. So I think it's like the school,
That's right. I was sick a lot too going to school, yeah. Yeah.
Kali is fearsome.
Kali is fearsome, yeah. This isn't Kali. The message is Kali.
This message comes from Kali.
is Kali is in the Hinduism the destroyer.
I know them because
okay.
I was a Hare Krishna. But which message comes from Kali?
Oh, no. All I meant is Kali is the destroyer. This message is destructive of the individual.
So not from Shiva. This is from Kali.
It's just I'm just saying destructive.
Okay.
I shouldn't say. Never again. Never again.
What happened here?
No more Kali, no more chaos, no more anarchy. Unconditional freedom.
I was wondering how the demigods coming here.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible. Yeah.
They are not friends actually.
What's that?
They are my friends.
They're your friends, yeah.
You know something about aliens?
Do I know something about aliens? Just a second. What would you like to know? No.
You need bigger eyes.
Do I need bigger eyes? I thought all I needed was a funny voice. What would you like to know? Isn't that how they sound when they channel?
Andreas Müller said 2 days ago, I'm not even sure the aliens exist.
Yeah.
Someone asked this.
Maybe from a point of a Medusa in the sea, we are all aliens.
From the point of view of what?
Medusa in the sea, in the deep sea. Medusa.
I look at the bugs. I look at insects. Have you ever seen insects? If I were an alien, that's what and I wanted to be incognito, I'd just be one of these little insects. Have you ever looked at them? I've never seen anything more alien-like than one of these insects. Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe just science fiction movies.
Yeah, that's right.
They sound
Yeah.
But somehow they look like they represent fear in some ways.
Oh.
No?
I find them just very curious.
Yeah. So if this is not real,
No. It's apparent. It's not unreal. It's not real. It's not unreal. It's ungraspable. It's unknowing.
and so there is also no truth.
No. Well, not as a fixed, like that's the truth and that's not the truth. There's only what appears.
Because the truth is already a judgment.
Well, it's something that would be known, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Or something fixed, or something real.
So only the experience.
Well, experience is a subject-object knowing.
Yeah.
And the message is there's no subject.
Yeah. And no subject.
No subject.
Okay.
I am is the subject, which is at the same time the object. Separation.
But then there is why there is no object.
There is no subject and there is no object.
What I've learned from other teachings is.
This isn't a teaching.
Okay.
So there's no authority here. I didn't find anything. This doesn't have it.
Yeah.
This didn't find it and it doesn't have it. And it doesn't know it. And has nothing to tell you. Sorry, but other teachings, yeah?
No, just that there is, of course, this like the self is an illusion because whatever it identifies with itself is an object.
Yeah.
And if we get rid of all the objects,
Yeah.
there is what is only.
No, you're talking about the eternal I.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. And that's just part of the dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
She is more confused.
It's even worse.
I'm very confused.
You're not confused, are you?
Apparently.
No.
No.
Doesn't sound like it.
Because somehow on his path, the words of Ramana had some weight, you know, like a reason.
Oh, all the big ones, yeah.
Of course. And then I think the story was between Papaji to ask him, show me God, and Ramana said, God is not the object, right?
No. That's not the way Papaji told it.
Clarify, maybe I'm saying it wrong, and maybe...
No, Ramana didn't answer. And Papaji said, I don't understand your language. And that was it. That's the story he told.
Because there was some kind of, then maybe it was another story where he said that God is not the object, like you cannot look for God because it's not the object, it's the subject. And you're saying...
There's no subject. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of grief going on here in the moment.
Yeah.
It's like, letting go.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
so this is not that.
Nothing. There's nothing left. In the end, there's just nothing left. There's nothing that anyone has. There's no one to have it. No one has this.
But when, okay, no time, so when this radical non-duality come, or from where, or
From where?
from where? Because it sounds so new, or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah.
Everybody comes. This is 5,000 years old.
I know.
teaching, and 2,000,
I know.
who cares?
Because the
I wasn't
individual,
there,
the individual is so racked with insecurity and doubt that it loves a bigger audience. It loves somebody sitting on a really big chair with a really big hat in a really big building. Things to tell you. It loves that.
But this is absolutely new.
And that never changes. This is new. And this is new. It never changes. New. This is for. And that's the end of the story.
And so how is Zen masters?
I don't know. Ask the Zen master. But just by saying I'm a Zen master, for me that means
That's right.
I know. To hear, this doesn't know. So this is that.
But we're saying that doesn't in those that it doesn't.
That's sweet. That must mean no. It means it doesn't. That's that. And the reason we talk about it is because that says it does. And this says nothing is known. And that says, like, well, how do you know that? And this says no one knows that. And that says, well, that doesn't make any sense. And this says, awesome. It doesn't make any sense.
You can make this meeting alone.
That's what's happening.
Because no other.
There's no one.
But if now this says,
Yeah.
this doesn't know,
Yeah.
it's still not the same not knowing what that says.
Okay. There's nothing special about this. It could easily be that it's the same there. Why not? From here, it is the same there. This isn't telling you anything. This isn't trying to change anything. It's obvious there's only unknowing. It's obvious. Where would knowing occur? Where are the two for knowing to happen? Where? There aren't two for knowing to happen. This is unknowing. That's the end of the story.
But for some reason, we still have these words.
Well, maybe there's an experience of knowing.
Okay, but that's not the real.
Yeah, well, that's knowing. Knowing is an illusion.
So funny just picturing how the masses of people sitting in front of big masters and everybody's full of hope, you know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm in the right place, I'm going to enlighten one day, and here we are sitting totally hopeless.
Yeah. Laughing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it feels much more free.
It is.
Because there's no path
Yeah.
that I have to follow and hope that one day something
Mm.
will happen. It's just free.
Apparently, my ex-guru, actually he is 70 years old right now, and I see his article, and he claims God is a person as you are.
God?
Then okay, as you are. God is a person as you are. But it's good actually, because
I wonder what he
I'm not
means
a
by
person.
that.
Pardon?
What does he mean by that?
God is the black guy with flute is Krishna.
Yeah.
And the right hand side is Radharani with the first lover. So they are person. He claims it.
Yeah.
And so they are person as we are. The same thing.
Okay.
But it's okay with them because we are not person. So I just watching how one guru, so-called guru, can claim the same shit even after 50 years, you know?
Yeah.
And nothing happened. Just like a parrot, you know? It's amazing. But this is unconditional.
Yeah.
He wants to save us or something.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
May I share like some movement that's inside?
Yeah, of course.
So because as I'm listening to the words, part of this unconditional freedom is touching me somehow, okay? And also when you said that there's nobody in there, nobody there, it's also, I can see how my mind is giving this possibility, like a new possibility. But then this is also some kind of misunderstanding of it, because it's like, now as if for the first time in my life I'm giving this possibility that maybe there's nothing here.
Yeah.
But I also see that it's some kind of trap, but I don't know, I cannot.
Maybe it's not a trap.
Maybe it's not, I don't know. But this is what's working inside at the moment, hearing this.
There isn't actually a real...
It's more than anything I've ever heard.
There isn't actually any real trap. There isn't actually an individual. All there is what seems to be. Feelings that are arising and thoughts that are arising, that's just simply what's happening. There is no intrinsic need in any of that to become anything. It's just happening.
Okay, so I think I want to clarify something.
Yeah.
I'm just a bit afraid to use words because things are not like the right word.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. Okay, so this thought comes from Spinoza, who says that there is always a picture in our mind, and there is always the real object thing. I forgot what words he exactly uses for that. It's kind of like that. I think of a table, and there is the actual table. So here we are saying that nothing is real.
Yeah. Or unreal.
Or unreal.
Except for the individual. That's completely unreal.
Yeah. But, okay, so in the consciousness or awareness, there are things which arise.
Okay, so consciousness is part of the dream of separation.
Mm-hmm. Awareness?
Part of the dream.
What is the dream?
The experience that there's separation.
Okay, remember that. But in this experience?
It's part of the dream. Experience is part of the dream. What you're going to do is you're going to try to find something left.
Yeah.
And there is nothing left. This takes absolutely everything and leaves no thing appearing, which we can't say anything about because it's absolutely inclusive. There's no edges to this. It is everything.
Yeah, so I do understand that you experience that.
No.
There is no you, okay.
And it's not an experience. There's nothing left. There's nothing here that has anything. Nor is there anything there that has anything, but there might be the experience that something is had, like consciousness or awareness or knowing or understanding of Spinoza. Which is very clever because he's very complicated.
But yeah, I just feel that this is kind of like believing what you are saying or not believing.
Yeah, well, that's the choice of the individual. That's the experience of the individual. It either feels like it could believe or not believe, and it makes no difference.
How did you get to these thoughts?
The thoughts, they aren't thoughts. But if I arrived here, then I could tell you a story about how this came to be. And then this would be a part of that story. This isn't a part of a story. This is the beginning and the end. This isn't the result of anything else. So this isn't an accomplishment. If it were an accomplishment, I would be a teacher, and I could tell you what happened to me that would bring it about for you too, or maybe not, at least give you hope. Yeah. It didn't happen.
Yeah, like there is still a difference between how I perceive all this,
Yeah.
or how the illusory self
Yeah.
really perceives this,
Yeah.
and how you.
Yeah. That's the only difference, though. That statement. There is no real difference. It's the experience that there's a difference. That's the difference.
Yeah. Okay.
And that experience is an illusion.
I would be very curious of what the others.
No others.
Okay, so what these non-people, or who I see sitting here,
Mortals.
or just let's say
Oh. You want to know what everybody else thinks because you don't know what to think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That sucks, doesn't it? Yeah.
So consciousness is an illusion?
Well, the way I understand the word, it has something to do with knowing, with consciousness being separate. Something is conscious of something else. Or aware. Something is aware of something else.
But before that, if there is nothing which is conscious of something, just being conscious?
Well, I'm, in all likelihood, using the word conscious has something to do with the sense of knowing. And what's being pointed to is that knowing in that way is an illusion. You can use any word you want, but consciousness seems to have, what's the other word? Awareness has the sense of knowing in it, the sense of separation.
Actually, in Hungarian, it comes from the same word.
Mm.
And consciousness
And
knowing, it's the same.
Mm.
At the beginning, the same word in Hungarian.
Yeah, yeah.
Jane, I'm just curious. This is really curiosity of the mind that this, what's being talked about here, has it been described in the same way? Because it seems that the 1,000 years of scripture, somehow they all leave at least a tiny trace of duality.
I know.
So is there even, is there resonance with some tantric or Shaivite or anything? Has it been revealed?
I'm sure it has. You don't know, but what's written is always giving a little bit of something.
I was just wondering if there's any tradition that resonates with this radicality, you know?
Well, you're talking about tradition.
Or
It seems to me that this is the radicality of this is very difficult to transfer, to explain. So that if there's any intermediary in it, it'll always be denatured. So it can be said that this is purity. There is only purity. Now, if an individual hears this is purity, it will say, I don't know that. And it will assume that there's a difference. And then it will come up with a story of what that difference is and how to rectify that difference. That whole story, that whole feeling that I don't know that, is purity. It never changes. But as long as there's an individual, there'll be the experience that something needs to happen. It will say that this knows what it's talking about, and it will want to know it. This doesn't, how could this be known? It's not even that big. It's not that big. It's already over. Where do you put knowing in that? And the need is that experience that something is lost. That's the need, that something has to happen. It doesn't. It never will. It is already.
Seems like it keeps circulating around the same thing.
Well, the me is in a very small circle. It's not very big at all. It feels big, I understand, because you travel, that you have thousands of gurus and you travel the world and all of that. But it's only about that big. I need to know, I need to know, I need to know. Something has to happen, I need to know. Something has to happen, I need to know. Something has to happen, I need to know.
I say that this is so vast that actually logically I can come to the conclusion that it's impossible to understand.
You can say that, but that's the me understanding that this is unknowable. That's different than this being unknowing. There's still real space and time in which that understanding happens. And that real space and time hides the reality that there's no real space and time. This has no actuality, no substantiality. This. Me. Is that good?
Like a mantra.
Maybe that's all we're going to do tomorrow. Just do this.
Me.
It will be on YouTube or something. Everybody hears. That idiots watching one.
Yeah, but then after a while, more and more people to me. More and more.
So very animal damaged person. And it was our meeting.
What a funny word, also
Meeting. It's everywhere.
Actually,
no meeting.
You know when you tell a joke, at the end of there is a punchline?
Yes.
And in Hungarian, the punchline is the word poem. And I had this one some time ago. I had this really, because the word "én" is "I" in Hungarian, but then the word poem, the word punchline, includes the word "én."
Yeah.
So it's like the punchline of a joke. I.
Yeah, but there's no punchline. That's the thing. There's no punchline.
Not even that.
No. There's a joke, but there's no punchline. Because there's no one to get it. The end of me.
No one to tell the joke.
Totally. The joke just is told. Nobody ever tells a joke, but nobody gets it. That's what I'm saying. Nobody gets. This didn't get it. If this got it, I'd sit on a much bigger chair. Ooh, we could do that anyway.
So what happens if this body gets hungry?
Nothing.
Well, the way you look, not eating. This body, eating.
Back to the roots.
But if hunger happens, that's what happens, hunger.
Yeah, but I have to go to the shop.
You've never gone to the shop.
No, this body needs.
You've never done anything. Going to the shop happens.
Well,
Or it doesn't.
Imagine this moment, we are in the shop.
Okay? Which one?
Which one?
Which shop? Food shop?
Food shop.
Food shop, okay. Which section are we in?
The cashier.
Oh, goodness, it's all over already. I was just getting ready to go shopping. I thought we were hungry.
It's a very small shop where the cashier needs to be asked.
Oh, got it. Okay, good. Yeah. Good. Okay, good. Excitement again. Great.
I would like, no. This would like.
Oh, if you do that, they'll think you're crazy. Yeah. Just between us, I would like, because they don't understand, so I would like some apples. Yeah.
No, so my question is, what are like, and okay, I understand there are no consequences of this because this is.
There are apparent consequences. If you jump out the window, the chances are, I mean, you might fly up, but chances are you'll fly down, and it will hurt. Those are the chances. You don't know.
Yeah. So then, what are the practical consequences of this?
What we're talking about?
Yes.
None.
Yeah.
This isn't practical. It has no application at all, of course. Non-duality isn't a thing. So you can't reach non-duality.
Yeah.
The suggestion is that's all there is already, so it has nothing to do with practicality. Practicality happens or it doesn't. Some characters are more practical than others.
So just go with life?
Who's going to do that? And where's life? Where's life? Seriously, where's life?
Well, here.
So how do you go on with here?
Yeah, just this. And the desire arises, then I want to explain it.
That's what happens.
Then I will explain to others.
Well, you've never done anything, but explaining would happen or not?
This is a story.
What is? Explaining?
Yeah.
It's just what happens. We're talking about that nobody does anything, and that there's no practical application to what we're talking about, and that anything that arises is just simply what's arising. And that
So we already both.
the question is really, what is it like when there's no one left?
Okay.
Because that's what I always want to know.
No possibility.
No. Well, nobody knows.
No.
This is what it's like when there's no one left.
No words.
Yeah.
How can you?
But you can.
No body construction, no past, because no one remember it.
Oh, well, there's a parent past.
Apparent, yes.
Yeah.
But then I push back the film.
No.
Pushing, just.
There's the memory of us sitting out there.
Yeah, but I don't speak a memory in my mouth. coming out the past, but I don't remember really. Because
Okay.
I can't explain what I tell you.
Okay.
But I don't know the past, but somehow if someone asks me, coming out in my mom.
Yeah.
No, but not my mom,
Yeah.
because it is not my body, of
Yeah.
course, because no body construction
Yeah.
and don't feel actually where is my body,
Yeah.
so I don't know that.
Yeah.
Just disappeared one day.
Yeah.
But I can't express this what I want to tell, you know. So nobody remembered the past because it seems so far, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Just coming out. So somehow, knowing I committed suicide or something like this, and my father committed suicide, so it was just a program, but I don't remember. I don't know. I can't explain. Maybe you can.
No, I don't even understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim, what do you think actuality?
Actuality, for me, it's sort of like it has a reality to it. Like this has a realness to it in some way. That it's actually happening. That there's something actual. I guess you take it apart, actable, that there's something actable about this. There isn't, yeah. What the suggestion is about is that this is just insubstantial. That there's just, this is new, and this is new. And the memory of the past is new. And the thought of the future is new. There's just new. That's it. So there's nothing actual about it, hold-onable about it.
But how is it possible? I don't feel my body, or I don't express more than this. But if pain coming, it's more strength than normal.
Okay.
And everything is more deep, or I don't know. You understand?
I do, yeah. You're saying that sitting here now is different than if you have great pain.
No.
No.
I don't just sitting here.
Yeah.
But pain coming, for
Yeah.
example, or anything else coming, doesn't matter. It's more heavy than the normal people. How is it possible?
For you, it's heavier than for other people.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
I just I don't know. They said they haven't got so deep pain.
Right.
Yeah, just like this. But it's happening continually, more deep everything. Or if sadness, it's very deep. I can't walk, but this is not identified. Nobody identifying this sadness, but I know this is very deep because I cannot walk.
There isn't actually an explanation for this.
Okay. Just happening.
Yeah, not really.
Not really, yeah.
Is it possible to consciously, actively evoke the feeling of unconditional love?
I think, well, not unconditional love because it's not a feeling. Because unconditional love is hate. It's all the horrible things you can think about. That's unconditional love. See, when there isn't anyone, what's obvious, meaning no need to reflect, is that the appearance is at a complete equilibrium. There's nothing that actually needs to happen. It's not out of balance. It's yeah.
But also not in balance.
Huh?
Also not in balance.
Oh, it's completely in balance. It's completely equilibrium. In the experience of the individual, for example, with climate change, the individual wants to survive. And so it's concerned about survival. And therefore it feels like there's an imbalance in the appearance, and it wants to rectify it because it wants to survive. But the appearance obviously doesn't care, or unconditional love obviously doesn't care, or there wouldn't be climate change.
Yeah. But if the individual takes action?
Well, the individual never does anything. But if action is taken, yeah, and the world is saved, or the earth is saved, or whatever, then that's what's happening. There are scientists that are trying to freeze the South Pole. Why not? Yeah.
There are others who are trying to move to Mars.
Who what?
Who are trying to move to other planets.
That's right. Elon Musk, yeah. 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 Yeah.
So again, can you define, can unconditional love be defined?
No. No. It doesn't actually make sense. Because it's got nothing to do with like personal love or what one would consider love.
Why is it called love?
Yeah. The words that are used, when certain aspects of the me fell away, that's what was there. That's the word that came up. Like unrecognizable freedom. That was revealed sounds like a big word, but anyway, what was seen when the need for something to happen fell away. It was obvious that what was sought was a recognizable freedom, a freedom that I could know. And it seemed like something would need to happen for me to know freedom. That need to know fell away, and it was revealed that there is only unrecognizable freedom. So nobody gets it. It is already. It's unrecognizable. The same thing happened with unconditional love, or emptiness, or no thing happening. Those are all just sort of certain aspects of the experience of separation fell away, and that's what was there. The end of experience, for example. That's why those words are used.
But they have no special meaning.
No. Well, in a sense, I mean, they're pointing to certain aspects, but we're pointing to something that can't be described or talked about. We're talking about this.
The person can love.
Excuse me?
The person can love.
What the person calls love is actually need.
Okay, yeah.
I'll love you if you love me, and I'll tell you what that means, and you'll never get it right, and I'll never get it right, and we'll just argue about that.
Yeah, if I love only my children and I hate everybody else, this is the person thing.
If you say there is unrecognizable freedom.
Yeah, this. Yeah.
Doesn't that mean that it is recognized?
No. In the same way that everything being said here isn't known. It doesn't come from a position or knowing.
Oh yeah, because recognizing is done by someone.
Yeah.
But that seeing.
Yeah.
There is a recognizable freedom.
Yeah.
Doesn't it come from someone?
No.
Why?
Because there isn't anyone.
Yeah, but then how is it different from so how is different? Is it different to say that there is? It cannot be seen, or it can be seen that this is unrecognizable freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. But no one does it. Seeing, I mean, you can use all sorts of words. It's difficult to get there, really. I say revealed sometimes because the energy of the individual is like a veil. And so it's unveiled. But it's a bit special, unveiled and revealed. Seen seems a little less special. But really, it's the end of something that wasn't happening that reveals what can't be said. So the individual doesn't happen. It's an illusion, so it can't fall away. And it's in the falling away of that which can't fall away, that it's revealed what seemed to be hidden, like freedom.
So that nothing is happening, but something is revealed.
Well, in the end of the dream is the revelation that nothing happened. You could say only through the dream is this revealed as it is.
So there is an end to the dream.
There's an end.
To the dream.
Yes, the end of the dream is that it never had a beginning. This. See, the end for the individual, the end of the dream makes sense that there would be a process, a story to the end of the dream. There isn't a story to the end of the dream. This is the end of the dream. There is no dream.
When the body dies, everybody has freedom or no?
When there's no one, everyone's free.
Yeah, but I cannot explain it.
Yeah.
Everyone, but you have to know.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens to this tension of the body?
It just consciousness. How no DJ? Well, I don't do it here, but I normally levitate. Yeah, I normally never touch the ground because I have to really use concentration, but normally anything I touch turns to gold and smells like roses. Yeah. So I spend my days just sort of levitating, and if I need something, I just touch. Or I call the devas. The devas come in to fulfill all of my wishes.
Just curious of the consequences if I may perhaps have this experience of seeing in the future, but my future will be...
Yeah, it's ordinary. It's ordinary. It's incredibly ordinary. It's unimaginably ordinary. Because what we're talking about is this, without anybody knowing about it. Without anyone knowing it. So there's sitting and walking and talking and whatever. There's just what seems to be happening. The other stuff was a joke. Okay. Sometimes I don't know if people do know. Really? Yeah, people have all sorts of expectations, I think.
And actually ordinariness can be also an expectation.
Yeah. Yeah. I think me will always put an expectation on it. Because it always has the sense that something has to happen. That I have to find it, I have to do it, I have to become it. What happens to me if this is it? What happens? What does that mean to me if this is it? And this is it.
Speaking about these 3 days, you know.
But not speaking about it. It's not what's happening. Yeah. It's not the object. It's just simply happening. They're simply happening, and it could never be other than unconditional freedom. That's just simply what is, and it has nothing to do with you finding it or not finding it. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
there is a sense of vibration or resonance in the body. And who feels that? Who is...
If there's someone there, then there'll be someone taking ownership. If there's no one, then that's just what's happening.
But there is a body. But there is no body.
There's an apparent body, yeah. Yeah.
Sensations.
Sensations, yeah, yeah. Walls. Shoes.
No shoes.
Bare feet. Bare feet are happening. I thought something smelled. No, I'm sorry.
So if there's nobody, this kind of sensation can still happen, but the ownership is not there.
There never was anyone.
There never was anyone.
It's just an illusion.
It's like the happening is
Without context.
Without context, without ownership.
It's hugely different. Without context, it's quite a different thing than with a context. I am the context. The whole story starts with the context that I am, that everything seems to happen to. If not, then there's just what is. New, boom, fresh.
Because it was always already here.
Well, always, but there is only what is, yeah. It's the end of the dream is the end of the experience that something was lost. But there's nothing, but nothing is found.
There is no experience that something is lost.
Well, there's just what the experience that something is lost is what is, and this is what is. It makes no difference. It's just what is.
So if the experience is still something can be found,
Yeah.
then that is.
That's what is. Absolutely. We're not trying to get rid of anything. We're not trying to change anything. That's not there's no intention to the message. It's just a response out of nothing. Yeah. That all there is what is, and what is unknowing.
Yeah.
And that can appear as the experience of I know. That's unknowing, fresh and new, appearing as the experience that I know.
The unconditioned has no preference between the experience, no? So all experience.
Well, here there are preferences.
Pardon?
There are preferences.
Because
This has preferences. Because of, I don't know, what do you, I mean, an explanation would be genetics, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Genetics, conditioning. So there's preferences for white wine instead of red wine.
Yeah.
Or sushi instead of, I don't know, whatever. Anything else, actually. There's just preferences, you know, for nature, for example. This likes nature, not so much the city.
So conditioning are remaining in the body.
Yes and no. So there's some conditioning. The individual is without pause knowing itself. So it's referring to itself all the time. It's referring to itself. And that referring to itself is a confirmation of what it knows. And that could be emotions or feelings, experiences, the past, any of those things. So in that sense, it creates a sort of a solidity, a person, I am a person, I have all these things. Now when that holding together, that constant referring to itself no longer happening, then some of that falls. It just, nobody's listening, nobody's doing it anymore. And so it's soft, the whole thing just softens up.
It's like dissolving.
Dissolving, yeah. Yeah. I remember, I don't remember what it was like, but I remember I said once that it was like parts of my brain fell off. It's a little too dramatic, I think.
But it feels less the pain if the experience is happening and I'm not honoring the experience.
No, it's not less, no. It might actually be more. The individual is constantly interfering with what's going on, and emotions are threatening. And so it'll try to keep them down or control them, hold on to them. And when there's no one left, then they're actually a bit more, they seem to be more explosive. But because they don't have a real context, they don't seem to have any continuum. So they come, they're there, and then they're sort of not there.
That's what I asked before.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh my God.
You can go now.
But is it only certain emotions?
Excuse me?
Is it only certain emotions or any emotion?
I can't think of one that wouldn't arise.
Attachment, like if there is no me.
Oh, no, there's still attachment.
There's still attachment.
Yeah.
To what?
I don't know, whatever, sushi. Not so much sushi, but I'm sure there is. You only really recognize attachment when something's taken away. Otherwise, you don't really know. You don't really know. So I couldn't tell you. But I imagine, I use this example just because it's such a good example, but I live next to cows. There's not in my house, but the neighbor has cows. He's a farmer, and he's got milk cows. And the way we get milk is the cow has to have babies, so it produces milk. And then they have to take the baby away, or else it'll drink the milk, right? And those cows cry. They cry for a day or so. They're very unhappy about the loss of the calf. Yeah, so I mean, you might call that attachment, or loss, or whatever. So it doesn't have to. You don't have to have a me for there to be a sense of loss, or sadness, or yeah.
But if you have the emotion, if unconditional has the emotion, then is not absorbing all the attention. No?
Well, there isn't any attention left, but it can definitely be overwhelming. There can certainly be emotions that are. Can't think of any, but I imagine. I don't know. What seems to be what can be reported is there seems to be no hold. The individual, when an emotion comes up, it owns it and puts it into its story. It tells a story about the emotion. And so in that sense, it makes it real. It puts it in a real context and a real continuum. And that just doesn't happen anymore, because there isn't anybody left that has a real story, a real context. So the individual knows what this is, and so it knows what's going to happen next, or it thinks it does. Nobody does. No, there isn't actually a next. But so it carries that emotion with it. When there's no one left, then yeah, there might be hot something now, but nobody knows that it's going to be the next. There's no next. So there's no one carrying it along.
See, there's the practicality.
What's that?
There's the practicality.
That is not practical. If you practice that, you'll be carrying the emotion along.
Why?
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is. You know the emotion.
Yeah, okay.
And so you'll be interacting with it, and that will give it the next moment.
Not really, just...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, because in the next moment, if it's not there, you'll know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carrying it along. When I'm involved, it's always really happening. There's always a continuum and a context. It always matters to me.
And there is nothing to let go.
Well, I mean, this is let go.
Because it's also doing, no? To let go.
Well, to let go is doing, but if it's already let go, then there's no one to do it. But I guess more to the point would be there's nothing to hold on to. It's not that there needs to be let go, it's that nothing can be held. Again, we're back to this is new, and this is new, and this is new. There's only the new. Holding on is new.
So in the new, there is no action?
Well, apparently, huh? What?
There is no like active listening to, not listening, like active awareness of what is?
No, if there's awareness of what is, it's old.
Yeah.
There's a separation.
But then how is this all perceived?
Oh, it's not.
Because then there is the I.
There's just, I mean, these eyes see, these ears hear. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sensation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what is that?
What is that? Sensation?
Yeah. What is sensation? What is see? What is
What do you mean? I don't understand. Hearing is hearing. Seeing is seeing.
And no individual is needed for that.
No, absolutely not. No, the individual gets involved and sort of makes it a little wonky. It's simpler without the individual in there. Without a knower.
So there is seeing.
Yeah?
There is no individual
No.
who knows that it is seen.
Right.
And knowing is the same like sensations. I mean.
No. No, there's no knowing of unknowing. There's sensation that seems to be something happening. Unknowing isn't something happening.
Yeah.
There's no quality, I can't give a quality to unknowing, whereas that seems to have a quality to it. There's sensation. Unknowing isn't a sensation.
Yeah, but I'm speaking about knowing.
Oh, knowing?
Yeah.
Well, what knowing does is it makes this really happening.
Okay.
Knowing is the real happening of sensation or of seeing. I see. I mean, another way to talk about it is seeing isn't, there's no beginning or end to this. It's infinite. It's without beginning or end. The knowing is the beginning. The real beginning. I know. That's an illusion. There's no real beginning to this.
Because you said that seeing happens without the individual.
Yeah?
But I cannot say that knowing happens without the individual.
Well, it depends on what you mean, because this knows where the hotel is. Actually, it doesn't, but it could. And there's no one here that knows that. So we talk. This thinks of the hotel. There's an image of the hotel and the bars across and the street and all of that. That happens. You can call that. I don't know if you mean if that's knowing, if that's what you mean. But that doesn't happen to anyone. That doesn't happen to a solid knower. It's just something that arises. Knowing. 2 + 2 is 4. That's like a knowing, but that doesn't happen to anybody. There's no solid position that holds or has that as a knowing.
even the brain? It's like information is stored in the brain.
Yeah. That's I guess that's where the picture of where the hotel is came from.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that there is a self.
No. No, we don't even actually know there's a brain, but anyway.
Okay.
We can assume that there's a brain. Now, it's not that things can happen without a me. It's that there actually isn't a me. There already isn't a me. There are no me's in this room. Yeah. All there are 10 bodies sitting on chairs. That's all that's happening. Yeah.
What does it mean? You said that we don't know that there is a brain. How do you mean?
Have you seen your brain?
I would have been on autopsy and I have seen bodies. And
That wasn't your brain, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my brain. Yeah.
So it's an assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
Don't really know you have one. That's what you have to do, isn't it, to see your brain? That's like, what's his name, Douglas Harding, on having no head. He went even further. He said, all you got of your head is a little fuzzy bit, and that's it. But that leads to knowing you don't know. And that's not what we're talking about here. If you do the practices of Douglas Harding, you know you don't have a head. And that's not what we're talking about.
Well, but he also says that it's an experience.
Yeah, he would.
Experience is not seeing my head.
Yeah, exactly. And this, what we're talking about here, isn't an experience.
The happening.
This isn't an experience.
This is the happening.
This is happening, and it's not an experience.
But what's the difference?
Experience.
Why to choose these words?
Well, experience is first off, demands an experiencer. Yeah? And moreover, experience from here seems to be another form of knowing.
Yeah.
So I live in a world of knowing, I live in a world of experience, and so what I'm looking for is a better or more experience. I have a sense that something needs to happen, and so I spend my life in a world of knowing, collecting knowing or collecting experience, in the hope to satisfy the need that arises out of knowing.
And it cannot be satisfied.
Well, interestingly enough, knowing actually it sounds satisfying, but it's actually the need to know. Knowing is the need to know, because knowing I am isn't enough. I have to constantly confirm knowing I am. You got something.
So this always needs to...
Knowing needs knowing. Knowing is actually a need to know.
So I know it, I feel that I know, but in this moment. And then in this moment, I again need to say...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way it is.
But there is no knowing. There is no
That's right. It's an illusion. Yeah.
So the satisfaction or the possibility of satisfaction is also an illusion.
Yes. Yeah. That's the reason it doesn't work. So if you get something, a good experience, you then need to hold on to that. And then there's the fear of losing it. And then there's the need, and then there's the seeking, and then whatever, the next experience.
So then how is it helpful here to do the headless exercises?
Oh, I didn't say it was.
Oh, no.
No, I was actually pointing out that it only leads to another form of knowing. Knowing, I know I have no head. I know I don't perceive my own head. It's just simply an assumption. It's sort of what his message was.
Yeah, okay, but I feel when I'm repeating what you were saying, or like what has been said earlier, then again I feel that I know.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That's what me does. It takes everything to itself. Everything. It's an endless need of collecting in the hope that it'll be enough at some point. The right experience, the right thing will happen, I'll know enough, I'll have enough, I'll be enough, whatever, enough. And there isn't enough, because knowing is the need to know. And all I have is knowing. It's endless.
Recently there is a kind of a restless feeling coming back sometimes to me that this is not enough, this experience is not enough.
That's the experience of I am, it's just not enough. Yeah.
I don't have much experience with drugs, but when this feeling comes, sometimes I feel like, okay, I need to take something to feel more or to experience more.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I try it, and then when I take it, and immediately I want to avoid it. I don't want I don't want it to change me.
Yes.
So it's like...
Yeah. That's what me is. Schizophrenic. It is.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. Because in the end, it actually doesn't know what it wants.
Always something else.
It's always something else. Totally. And it's never enough. Whereas what's truly longed for is what is. And that's not an object. It's not a particular feeling or a particular thought or a particular state. It's simply what is, as already complete and whole, unknowably free. Simply this.
That's not enough for me.
It'll never be enough. There isn't enough for me.
So what is truly longed for is what is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is never enough.
Never enough for me.
Because there is
No, because the experience of me makes this seem separate. It makes it seem the experience of me, the experience of someone inside the body, makes this appear as though there's something outside that's happening to me. Yeah. And that experience is dissatisfying. It is the story of being kicked out of Eden, eating the fruit of knowledge. I know. Now I have shame. Now I have to wear clothes to cover my shame, and I've been kicked out of Eden. Yeah. Now I have to find my way back. And all there is Eden. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.